Namaskar, friends. Welcome to Escort's Crop Production Technology series. Today, this episode is on question and answer session for the fertilizer episode, which we launched last week. So we see that there are a lot of questions and good, valid questions being asked on this episode. Today, with us, we have Mr. R. Madhavan, an engineer and also an agri expert. I would say why? Because since last 30 years, he is doing his own farming successfully. So, welcome, Madhavan, sir.
Namaskar. Happy to answer some of my questions being asked, whatever I can extend.
Wonderful, sir. So, I'll quickly start with the first question. The first question has come from Mr. Rajendra Singh Parihar, and his question is, Sir, in Rajasthan, production of mustard is more. Please give us some technical information about mustard farming so that I can increase the productivity.
Mustard is like any other crop. It comes under a brassica family, like cabbage, broccoli. So it comes under into that category. So it loves a lot of nutrients in the soil for its profuse production. Like I was explaining to you, soil test would be a key to go with it, and preferably go on a row cropping so that the fertilization can be done effectively and manage it effectively for all the pest and disease. I'm sure you should be able to get into an action with a high productivity.
Thank you very much, sir. The second question is from Mr. Arun Kumar Upadhyay. His question is, to what depth should the land be plowed?
See, the depth for the active roots for feeding 9 inches is enough. But there's something else which is called taproot for most of the Cattlodon, the two-leaf plant species which produces taproot. Like paddy, it's only a fibrous. So it does not have a tap. Cotton, any other crop will have a taproot. Now it's much more advantageous if you allow the taproot to go as deep as possible so that the plant can withstand stress. Stress for water, stress for rigidity. So these things can only be achieved through sizzling. So sizzle should go at least minimum depth of 3 feet so that the taproot can be allowed to that depth. Water and other things can be brought up through capillary action. Shallow plowing of 9 inches is sufficient for feeding the roots. The root can only be fed around 9 inches because it needs oxygen. So as you go below, the oxygen level drops down. Henceforth, the roots which are absorbing the nutrient will also be minimized. So 9 inches is sufficient for feeding area. But the sizzle is required for taproot penetration and remove the compaction so that the aeration and other parameters which we discussed in the soil land preparation in more depth.
Moving to the next question. This is from Mr. Karan Jori. His question is, why silica is most important in onion farming?
See, silica, especially for onion, it can improve the chlorophyll action of onion leaves. But silica is not a major or considerably on the micronutrient area also. Instead of that, if you can correct calcium and magnesium, your onion crop performance will be much better, because highly siliceous is also not advisable for the porosity area, but mainly used for this purpose, very, very minimum. They're either on a leaf or something, because already soil contains certain amount of silica in it. But silica is mainly for the purpose of onion leaf chlorophyll action, green pigment action of green pigment. So that is where the food is collected through using the solar and carbon dioxide, and that is stored into our produce. So silica plays a very, very minimum role, but it is much easier if you can get through with calcium and magnesium.
Great, sir. Okay. The next question, Karan Jori himself, the second question he has asked. Sir, tell us about the potassium humus.
See, there are so many things on this nutrient value. Plant needs potassium. Now, if you attach a new word to it, you are getting excited and you will be willing to pay for 300, 400 rupees more. Oh, if you think that humate is attached to it. Please try to understand, plant requires potassium for, the quality, firmness, and abiotic stresses, which means abiotic, I don't like to use such technical words. It's simple. Stresses. Stress due to the pest, stress due to environment. It's called abiotic. So environmental stress, which is what? Severe drought. That's an environmental stress. Pest attack, accepting through pest and disease. Now these two are minimized or brought into a control by maximum available potash. Potash is available in many forms. Potassium chloride is the common available form, which is very economical for farming purpose. There's potassium sulfate, which is a wonderful unit, but it does not contain chlorides. It's very expensive. So you have to decide, your aim is that the soil should contain potash, whether it is a humate, chloride, sulfate. These are all nomenclature attached to different things. Your idea should be, what is my soil test potash and what should be for this crop, and how economically I can make available this to a crop without damaging my soil structure. Suppose if your soil is, very high in sodium, say take an example of it, very high in sodium, and your pH is very high. Now, adding more on a potassium chloride will add more sodium into it, because chloride is nothing but sodium content in it. Such cases, if you have a value crops, then I would advise for potassium sulfate. This humate is something similar to that, but at a 300% higher cost. Why do you? Because just because the humate is attached, you think it is holy. So you have to only think of available potash to a crop. How much and what is the role of a potash? See, that is the way you have to understand that. And how easily you can see. It is like this, dosa. Now, that batter, for a good batter, you have to mix whatever that and apply, you get a dosa. That is 10 rupees if you make it at home. But the same batter is done at a hotel and given a name, something exotic. Aravina Soto dosa. Oh my God, dosa has some name. And then you pay 300 rupees and eat it. But the main content of it is dosa batter, to make you a dosa. The rest, maybe you would have added little ghee more, little salt more to give you that effect. But 80% batter. Why do you want to run for the 20% when you have an 80% with you?
Thank you very much, sir. Moving to the next question. The next question is from Lokender Patel. His question is, which tool should be used to make soil? So I consider this possibly he's asking which tool for land preparation.
Land preparation, see, there are a set of tools. The first one, I think we have discussed more on that in our land preparation episode. Please go ahead and watch it. But anyhow, briefly I put it: chisel, and then 9-tine or disc, one of these two, which is used for breaking the clods, as well incorporating the soil amendments. Once that is done, then you run the ridge and furrows. So you do the ridge and furrow based on your crop needs, but always keep it in mind that the tractor should be used optimal area. That is 45 days of your crop cycle. Tractor should be used. That means the land preparation, like I discussed it in an earlier episode in the land preparation, 30-60 normally we put, because the tractor available in India is at this wheelbase depth. So let's plan for that, what is available with us in India. So 30-60 should be your ideal ridger, and you do the ridging. Once you do the ridging, then you do the fertilizer placement. I think we have made a special episode. Mr. Harsha was discussing on that. After placement, then you go with the seeding. This is the land preparation to seeding. Then after that, you take care on the irrigation and pest and other areas.
Thank you very much, sir. Moving to the next question. This is from Mr. Pradeep Kumar. He is asking, tell us about sowing of ladyfingers.
I don't know what you want me to say on that. It's a vegetable crop. Very short duration crop, starts yielding from 25 to 30 days from seeding. And it should last around 70 days. You have to harvest, the harvest starts on the 25th, 28th day. Every alternative day you do it. And the middle, almost, you have to do every day. The harvesting is little laborious and it has got a little spikes. So you need to use tools in your hand, like hand gloves and things like that, so that you don't get that itchiness when you are harvesting it. And it's a good crop which pays you good remunerative also. Most cost is on the harvesting front and very short duration. It's always preferable to go with ridge and furrows. It has got very good advantage and you can get a good canopy. But then selection of seed also. Please remember there are many varieties, especially the lady's finger, they're prone to during the summer, especially when the vegetable is eaten most. It has got yellow vine mosaic, particular virus. But now there are varieties from many companies which is resistant to this to some extent. So try and use that. And there are other varieties also. Please choose for the canopy. That means you can have, not like a tree growing and then, you try to harvest from 5 feet, 6 feet. But instead of that, there are very good varieties which are short and dwarf. At the same time, it starts yielding from the lower end. And even the spikes are much less in most of the varieties. So you choose accordingly and get it done. It's exactly the same way soil test plays a very vital role for that also.
Thank you very much, sir. Moving to the next question. This is from Mr. Karan Jori. His question is, how do liquid fertilizer work on spraying crops? Is it 100% absorption done here? How to spray cow urine? How much time to spray in decomposing field?
So I think his question is sugarcane trash decomposed. Fine,
Exactly.
we'll answer that. See, first of all, he's talking about liquid fertilizers. There is nothing known as liquid or solid. Fertilizer is a fertilizer. And any fertilizer has to be soluble. Please remember, not only this gentleman, Karan Jori, but anyone who is watching, fertilizer has to be dissolved type. It has to be soluble, because plant cannot accept anything which is insoluble. That is, anything which is inorganic. Inorganic is ionization. Ionization is the one, like you put salt, it gets dissolved, and that salt can easily be absorbed through moisture to the absorbing roots or through root hairs, if I want to little go on a technical part. So first you have understood what is liquid and what is fertilizers. Now spraying on leaves. See, it's like this. You please try to understand. You have a mouth. You can eat. You can also be given through drip. A doctor sometimes gives you on an emergency drip. If you can understand why between these two, briefly I will explain to you. When you have a problem that you cannot eat through your normal way, so the doctor decides that he has to give you a saline solution, some nutrient into it to make you sustained so that you are come out of the infection. Okay, now this is one. I come back to plant. Plant, if you can apply the nutrients in mouth, the mouth of the crop is the root. And if you fail to apply in that, the crop lags those nutrients. I'm not talking about micronutrients, I'm talking of major nutrients, because those are in bulk you needed that you cannot spray through leaf. Okay, now how do you spray? When do you spray? The absorption of these liquid, when you are dissolving the fertilizer in water and spraying it over a leaf, depends on primarily age, environment, wind drift, and time. Because I'll put one little word and then you can go and study about that. Leaf has, if you look through a microscope, you will see stomato. They're called stomatos. They are just like flowers opening and closing on the leaf surface. Now that depends on the environment condition. So you have to make sure that you are spraying at that point of time to get the leaf absorption to be 100%. Otherwise, it will be only 5%. How can you be sure on that? Is it not easy? Put it in the mouth and be done with it. But there are many new micronutrients like boron, zinc. These nutrients sometimes even ferrous. So sometimes these deficiencies show only on the younger leaves than the older. The transportation loss happens, but all this due to your imbalanced soil fertility. If you can address that well in advance, why do you want to go and spray there? It's much easier to throw food in your mouth than giving through a saline to you. Why do you want to, get into that fold? That's only in an emergency, but also only for micronutrients, which are very essential but require at a lower quantity. Can be sprayed, but these parameters which I explained to you earlier should be taken into account. So the leaf has to be, in open position. You are not sure. How will you know whether the tomato is open or closed? Otherwise, it just washed away. It's not absorbed. And you have to put a little quantity. Maybe you have to spray a couple of times or 3 or 4 times for its absorption to place. And once you do that, then you have to send your tissue to analysis to find out whether it has been absorbed or not. But tissue analysis is a very essential element which is not practiced in India. But I'm just giving you on the nutritional spray for the leaf. I think I briefed up. Let me not get into too depth. You can study what is the tomato and what is the leaf when it is done, and the environment. These 3 factors you can get in more technical details if you are interested to read about. But these are the points to consider when you are spraying that. Now, anything to any biomass, any organic matter to get composed, we need bacteria for its decomposition. Now, organic matter plays a vital role in this part. That's the reason we take it into a consideration. Whenever we test the soil, we also test for organic content, organic matter content. So the soil residual can get into decomposing provided C/N ratio is around 4 to 10. Then the decomposition is very much faster. C is carbon and N is nitrogen. Anything needs nitrogen. So bacteria needs nitrogen, so it consumes nitrogen. And then debacterization happens. Moisture is also one part which can make even much faster. So for your sugarcane trash, I think leaves which you're meaning, I think if I understood correctly, if your question, it should be the trash which falls down, or when you harvest sugarcane, these trash falls over it, how long it takes. To me, I'm a sugarcane grower, about 4 or 5 days, it's almost soil. That's because I test the soil and make sure my organic content in that soil is required level. If you can also manage that, then it should not take you much of your time on this. Best thing is also, rotivate it so that it is all fallen into fine pieces for easy digestion and decomposition. But during that, do not plan anything to seed because that generates little heat. And that's the reason I said moisture is also important for its faster degradation. Thank you.
Let's move to the next question. That is from Mr. Balveer Singh. It is a little challenging question. He is actually telling wrong information on cow dung because desi cow dung has maximum nutrition value and bacteria, which make field fertility more effective. You only promote chemical farming. One question from your knowledge, what was the production and how was the production before chemical farming was done? And what importance was there on organic matter in field?
Yes, it's not a challenging question. I think I've answered this thousands of times. So it's not at all challenging and not at all surprising. I have to, I will be answering to Mr. Brivit Singh. First of all, cow is not your fertilizing factory. Cow eats not to give you milk for you or dung for you to use it as a fertilizer. Now forget about that. Cow is giving milk because it needs for its calf. We human beings steal that. We are doing stealing. It's not given to you. The cow is first of all producing milk for its own kid. First. Second, you say it is very nutritive. Please think garbage in, garbage out, which is what cow eats has to be little content in the fecal matters. It's not eating for fun. It has to eat its meal for its metabolism functions to happen. That means it has to survive, it has to walk, it has to, move around, it has to reproduce. For all this, it is eating, not for you to produce fertilizers. It is not a fertilizing factory. Now, let's make that very clear. So what cow eats plays a very vital role. Suppose if that cow is, which is most of the Indian cows, are underfed. They are not like human beings. The cows are also nutritional hunger. And that is the reason, though we are second largest production of milk in the world, but one of the lowest productivity of milk in the world. Please understand that. The cow, what it eats, it's its performance. This you have to agree. If a cow is not eating properly, nutrition, that is most important. Cow wants to live like us, and poor cow is actually in hunger in India. Very few pockets, it is very well fed. So now the nutritional part depends on that. Let's leave that now. Your question on that, I think I'm clear on that. Now I come to second one. Now the nutritional availability in that cow dung is not what your plant needs. That varies. That you have to address it. Say for example, 1 kilo of your cow dung might contain more of a nitrogen than other materials. Suppose your crop wants more of a phosphorus like paddy and other crops, cereal crops, then you have to add tons of it to get the phosphorus level raised it to the crop's performance. But if you raise tons of that, then imagine what happens to the nitrogen level at that point. I don't know, I don't want to confuse it, but go through my statements. These are the things that you have to consider it. First of all, I said nutrient depends on what it eats. Second, cow is not your fertilizing factory. Third, what it eats and what it delivers in the dung will be much less. And what it is eating is more important. And you are not feeding the cow very well, first of all. Even if you have fed well, the nutrient will be low and imbalanced. Yes, I agree, the bacteria. That is the reason we are adding organic matter in a normal method also, part of the soil inputs. And we insist that in a soil testing, the organic matter has to be tested. Please refer my earlier episodes where we have shown you the chart. What are all the things to be tested for, in which organic matter also plays a role. But it's not the only way to go through. Okay, you asked what happened, how did our earlier people have done? Sir, please remember in 1960s, I don't know the age, yours. If you were there around that time, why did we go into a starvation when we had only 35 crore people? And please remember now, 120 crore plus. The land has shrunk, which means there are more buildings, more roads, more factories. So the land, we cannot extend the land anymore. And we need forest land also for environmental protection. We can't just keep on horizontally improving our area. There is no room for us. We are forced to make our productivity improved within given 1 acre of land. To have the productivity, cow dung alone is not going to help you to feed the hungry millions in India at cost-effective way. Now, you said earlier, now why did we get into a starvation agreement with the US government under Nehru, and agriculture minister was Mr. C. Subramaniam? Please remember and go through all this. You will know we went through a starvation area. The Green Revolution helped us to do that. And Punjab played a very vital role in that, to elevate our hunger. Yes, we didn't practice it properly. Anything, any tool has to be properly used. Otherwise, you get into all sorts of trouble only. You can't blame the tool for that. So we have to make ourselves, make our farmers trained how to use these valuable tools. Like fertilizer is one of the tool. Placement is one of the tool. Ridger is a tool. So these are all box of tools to be used effectively, and we need to train farmers how to use them. But if you misuse them, or if you are indiscriminate in application, like I see fertilizers are indiscriminately applied across India, because we don't have a proper soil testing and analysis done. And poor farmers have been told to put blanket method. In that way, obviously, that will turn into a poison only. But how can you blame for that the fertilizers? Fertilizers are nothing but food for them. How will we, what is multivitamin? What are we eating? Why are we eating as multivitamin? Multivitamin is nothing but all the minerals. You please go through what are the minerals available in that multivitamin: calcium, magnesium, zinc, boron, etc., etc. Where are we getting all that? We depend on plants. Plant depend on soil. And if the soil is mined, mining, what is mining? When you are growing a crop, you are mining the soil. Please remember, when you are growing the crop, you are mining. That means you are taking away the nutrients and converting them into the produces, either potato, tomato, brindi, brinjal. So that means these nutrients are transformed into into all these materials which we consume. So what happens from in the soil which you have depleted, that you have removed? Say you have in a bank 1 lakh rupees. Now you every day you take 10,000 rupees. One fine day it's going to be empty. How do you replenish it? You have to arrange a source for it to go there so that you can keep taking the bank. Nutrition is important, sir. Please remember, without nutrition, plant cannot perform. Without nutrition, humans cannot perform. Without nutrition, any animal, any living being cannot perform to optimum level. To a little more extent, I will put it. I'm taking a time for it because this is answers to others also, not only you. I would like to have it answered to others also to make it more clarified. And I'd love to, get more questions on this. I don't mind, because we have to be clear on this. It's a time that we have to be clear. These are tools. Electricity, take an example of electricity. It is dangerous. But if you don't use it properly, can you stop? Oh, electricity is danger. No, I will, take a fire and stand in front of my house as a light. We have crossed all that. Anything for that matter, if you are not using it, even fire for that matter, if you don't use it properly, you can set fire to your house. But if you use it properly, you can cook your meal and eat. So it depends on you. It's nothing to do with the fire. Similarly, fertilizers have been misused. I think I made it more clear in my fertilizer placement, the importance of fertilizer placement, because our efficiency is 80% low, which is, if you put 100%, the plant, the method we apply can take only 10 to 15%. I explained all that in that detail because of the mobility and immobility nutrients that makes restriction for the crops to get it. That means the performance, the efficiency of your nutrition use efficiency in plants drops down, and we are blaming it for it. Now we apply only nitrogen. That's no use. Like suppose you eat only rice and rice and rice, you're not going to perform anything. In that case, can you say rice is a poison? You have to have rice, dal, vitamins and minerals can only come from vegetables and fruits. So now all this combination we are eating not for pleasure or fun, for our well-being, which means the well-being depends on the nutrition. Now we cannot starve the plant to get into that. And I think I answered your question, what did we do earlier? Yes, we went into a starvation for 35 crore people in 19th. This happened. This is not a imaginary. You go back to history and read. And at that time, Mr. C. Subramaniam, and I'm sure all the Punjab farmers remember with gratitude Mr. C. Subramaniam, because he's a wonderful thing he brought in at that time, really revolutionized, and we were out of hunger for a while. We almost doubled our net productivity of India. Now all this happened in 60s to 70s, thanks to this system of it. Otherwise, we would have all been perished. This is not an imaginary. This happened in India. Please go back into that and you will more understand. I'm sure you will also agree with it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. This was intense. Moving to the next question. This is from Mr. Ganesh Atrulji. And his question is, sir, normally agriculture department persons say DAP to be given at the time of land preparation. But you have shown phosphorus in negative ion, so should be applied at the time of crop lifetime. Now, what should I do?
Okay, DAP to be applied at the root zone because it is immobile. Please don't get into confusion with negative and positive, because if you have to understand that, then please study cation and anion exchange capacity. Cation, anion, positive ion, negative ion. But phosphorus is the immobile element. You apply on the surface of the soil and the roots are underneath. So that phosphorus is not available for that crop. See, they are correct. They want you to apply it on the land preparation side and then ask you to incorporate it. It is not just broadcast and seed is sown. So the agricultural department has mentioned it correctly. During the land preparation, you apply. Even in our episodes, we said it has to be placed or incorporated. Please remember these two words, placement and incorporation. Incorporation means you mix it with the soil using the cultivator. That means that when it is broadcast over the surface and you are running a 9-tine cultivator, then you are taking them into the below the soil zone, which is around 8 to 9 inches. We are plowing at that depth and the DAP is left there. But placement plays a very vital role because the roots are on that area. So when you place it, maximum phosphorus is available to the crop performance and the efficiency. I think the previous question I answered to that, talking about the efficiency. Even here, phosphorus efficiency is improved almost by 70 to 80%. Please understand, phosphorus is immobile in the soil and mobile within the crop. Very mobile in crop and immobile in soil. So you have to place it at the root zone or incorporate it in the soil profile. So they are correct. When you are doing a land preparation, I also do that, applying single superphosphate or diammonium phosphate, all these things, and incorporate it into the soil. What is wrong is after crop establishment, applying them on the surface is not going to help or make available phosphorus to that crop. And phosphorus is needed during initial stages of your crop for root establishment. Phosphorus opens up more mouth.
Thank you very much, sir. Moving to the next question. This is from Vijaya Lakshmi. The question is, my soil is becoming as hard as rock when unwatered. This is hindering my plant growth. I've tried my own soil combination, but failed. How to recharge the old soil in such a way that texture is loose always. Note, I'm not a farmer.
I think it looks highly sodic soil, lot of sodium in your soil. Sodium will have your quality which you have mentioned it. Such soil, sodic soils will have these parameters. That is, it's getting mashy when you water. When it is dry, it's hard. So the best method is, I think also, I'm not sure. See, I have not seen your report, but this is only from your statement. I'm bringing it out, the required answer for it. Also, your pH must be very high, around 8 or 8.5. And your sodic level will be more than 300 ppm. These are my calculations, and I'm not sure what it is yours. So you have to test your soil to find out that. But these are the probabilities. Definitely, if you have this problem and if you test your soil, my parameter stands correct on that. How to correct it? You have to, leach out sodium. If you have a high pH and sodium, it is a little difficult job for doing it. You have to have a soil chemist and try to leach out your sodium, then it will become very porous. So check your soil, take it to a laboratory, check it for these two parameters especially, or if you have already done it, then look for these parameters. I'm sure you will get the answers for it.
Thank you very much, sir. There's another question Vijay Lakshmi has asked. That is, my soil and my compost pile has tons of snails. Please help. I tried sprinkling salt whenever I see them on surface, but there are millions under the soil. How can I vanish or remove them from my garden?
You have already said, the question is yours now. Without looking at that, I have answered already salt. Now you seems to be adding more salt to it. Already I consider it sodium, and now you are adding salt to kill a snail. See, the snails, yes, that's one of the pests which is there. I would recommend, best thing is plow it during the peak summer. I don't know which area you belong to, which state or which Firka district, I'm not sure. And anyhow, when you have a peak summer, plow the land. Continuously, if you do solarization, you can minimize the snails. Also, sprinkling salt is not a good idea. Instead of that, find out from the local pest management specialist after your solarization how to minimize this snail effective. But adding salt is, it's not going to solve your problem.
Thank you very much, sir. Last question for this episode from Mr. Surendra Kumar Singh. He is appreciating very informative episodes. Regarding zinc, which plant will this zinc help?
All plant. It's like human being, any plant. I can give you a couple of examples. Zinc in tomato. In paddy, you can see very visibly. And in paddy, see, we are all paddy eaters. I'm sorry, we are all rice eaters. Any rice product we eat, right? And that's how we get zinc. And if you don't apply zinc in the soil where the paddy is grown, the rice may not contain the zinc with you. So then the doctor recommends you for zinc tablets. Anyway, you have to take. So all plants requiring zinc. There is no plant which is not needed zinc at all. the quantity varies and the availability varies, especially say in paddy. I don't know whether you are a paddy man, but still, if you apply zinc in an inundated water, the zinc is unavailable. Even if you apply in the soil, and if it is mixed up in the, inundation has no oxygen, right? Go a little more on that you will understand. When you are inundating it with water, the oxygen is cut off. So even if the zinc is available, the plant may not take the zinc because it's in unavailable form. That's why nowadays you get chelated zinc and other type of a zinc. So it is made into available form even in inundation area. So paddy is one, wheat is one, tomato is another. Why even potato? Otherwise, the firmness is reduced. The starchy area, which you feel when you make a chips or something, is also reduced in that. So zinc is used everywhere. It depends on what crop you grow and what is your soil availability, and then you balance the remaining with the material available in your area.
Thank you very much, sir, for taking time in answering all the farmers' questions. I would say, farmers, thank you very much for watching video and especially for asking your doubts and also clarifying the understanding of these episodes. If you have really loved this videos, do share with your family and friends. And to ensure without miss, you want to watch all the episodes, subscribe the channel, click on the bell icon to get notification immediately on your devices. And I would say thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Very nice question and answers. I love to listen to farmers' questions and answers. Thank you very much for this opportunity, my dear farmer.
Thank you, sir.